Tonight, I'll try again. During my lunch break, I bought new lingerie, red, his favorite color. I'll light some candles, put on makeup, and try to bring back the woman he fell in love with. Hi, I'm Josh. Sometimes I sit in my home office and stare at the family photos on my desk, wondering how we ended up like this. The evening light filters through the window, casting shadows on our smiling faces in those frozen moments of happiness. 5 years of marriage to Liz, and now it feels like I'm living with a roommate who barely acknowledges my presence. I remember when we first got married, the passion, the connection, the way we couldn't keep our hands off each other. Now we've been intimate twice in the past 14 months. I've been keeping track, as pathetic as that sounds. Even a simple hug or a kiss goodbye has become a rarity, like some precious luxury I no longer deserve. These days, I leave for work without any physical contact. No kiss, no quick embrace, just a mumbled bye from across the kitchen. It didn't happen all at once. At first, it was, I'm too tired tonight. Then maybe tomorrow, until those maybes stretched in 2 weeks, then months. I've noticed Liz letting herself go. She's gained a lot of weight and stopped caring for herself the way she used to. The gym membership I bought her for Christmas still sits unused in her drawer. I'm not a fitness fanatic, but I tried to approach it gently, suggesting we work out together or try cooking healthier meals. She shut down the conversation before it even began. I have tried everything I could think of. Last spring, I suggested marriage counseling, but Liz rolled her eyes and insisted there was nothing to fix. I even convinced her to have hormone tests done, hoping there might be a medical reason for her disinterest. Sitting in that sterile doctor's office, I felt a flicker of hope that we'd find some explanation for the distance between us. But the tests came back normal, and that was the end of it. She refused to discuss it further. The worst part is that every time I try to address our intimacy issues, Liz shuts me down with the same phrase. Just because we're married doesn't mean I'm obligated to have sex with you. It's like a wall she puts up, and I can't find a way through. I'm not asking for obligation. I'm asking for connection, for mutual affection, for her to want me the way she used to. Every time she says those words, it feels like another crack forms in my heart. These days, I lie awake at night, listening to her soft breathing from her side of the bed. Yes, there is an invisible barrier between us now. Moonlight seeps through the curtains as I count the hours until morning, trapped in my thoughts. Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life feeling unwanted and undesirable? Sometimes I catch myself watching other couples at the grocery store or in restaurants, or the way they casually touch, the small, affectionate gestures, and my chest aches with longing. I'm 35 years old, stuck in a marriage where my emotional and physical needs seem invisible. Every rejection, every dismissal chips away at my sense of self-worth. The house feels emptier despite both of us being here. The silence between us grows louder with each passing day. I keep asking myself, is this really what marriage is supposed to be? Are Liz and I even compatible anymore? The answer terrifies me more than the question. I'm Liz, and I'm tired. Tired of Josh constantly harping on about our sex life, or, as he sees it, the lack thereof. Just yesterday, he tried to start another one of his serious conversations while I was watching my favorite show. Is that all marriage is to him? Because I have news for Josh. It's not. Yes, I know things have changed since we first got married. I've lost interest in physical intimacy, and honestly, I don't understand why it's such a big deal. We share a life. a home. We're partners. Isn't that what really matters? But Josh is fixated on this one thing, like a broken record that never stops playing. Every time he touches my shoulder or tries to cuddle on the couch, I can feel the expectation radiating off him, and it makes my skin crawl. Every time he brings it up, my blood pressure rises. My body, my choice, I tell him. And I mean it. Just because we signed a piece of paper doesn't mean he has unlimited access to my body. It's 2024 for crying out loud. These outdated ideas about marital duties need to stop. I'm not some 1950s housewife existing solely for his pleasure. The pressure is exhausting. He thinks I don't notice the disappointed sighs or the way he looks at me when he thinks I'm not paying attention, but I do. I see how his eyes follow me, searching for any hint that I might be in the mood. And every time, it only makes me dig in my heels more. He even took me to get hormone tests, as if there had to be something wrong with me because I don't want sex as much as he does. The entire experience was mortifying, sitting there in that flimsy paper gown while some doctor discussed my libido as though it were a malfunctioning appliance in need of repair. What bothers me most is how Josh has let this one issue overshadow everything else in our marriage. We have a comfortable life together, a lovely home, and countless shared memories. But apparently, none of that holds any weight because I'm not leaping into bed with him whenever he wants. It's unfair, and it makes me feel like that's the only thing he values about me. Every kind gesture or gift from him now feels like it comes with strings attached, as though he's trying to buy his way back into my bed. To me, marriage should be about trust, emotional connection, and companionship. Physical intimacy is just one small piece of the puzzle. And if that part isn't as active as it once was, well, that's just life. I've seen other couples our age dealing with the same challenges. My friend Sarah barely touches her husband anymore, and they seem perfectly fine. I wish Josh could grasp that concept and stop making me feel guilty for the choices I make regarding my own body. Um, our marriage is strong in the ways that truly matter, and if he could stop fixating on this one issue, we could be so much happier. But no, he keeps pushing, keeps trying to make me feel like I'm the one with the problem. Well, I'm not. My body, my choice. End of story. If he doesn't like it, that's his issue to figure out, not mine. You know what really gets under my skin? It's not even the lack of intimacy anymore. It's how she wields the phrase, my body, my choice, like a weapon, a shield to deflect any meaningful conversation about our marriage. During lunch breaks, I sit alone in my car, eating in silence, just to escape the constant tension at home. Sometimes I drive aimlessly after work, delaying my return to the cold, emotionless house. Every time she says those words, it feels like a slap. Yes, it's her body, and yes, it's her choice. I've never questioned that. But what about my needs? My desire for emotional connection? What about my right to feel wanted and loved in my own marriage? The resentment keeps building inside me like a pressure cooker, and I'm terrified of what will happen when it finally bursts. Last night, I tried again. I found her in the kitchen scrolling on her phone while her dinner sat untouched. I approached her gently, telling her how much I missed our connection, not just the physical side, but the little moments of affection we used to share. You know what she did? She rolled her eyes and walked away, muttering something about me being obsessed. That moment hit me like a punch to the gut. Standing there in our kitchen, watching her retreat to the living room without even a second glance, something inside me finally broke. The realization washed over me like a wave of icy water. We're not partners anymore. Maybe we haven't been for a long time. Partners care about each other's needs. They listen. They make an effort to meet in the middle. Liz doesn't do any of those things. The more I think about it, the clearer it becomes. Every morning, I watch her get ready for work without even acknowledging my presence. Every evening, she sits at the far end of the couch, physically and emotionally distant. When was the last time she asked about my day and genuinely listened? When was the last time she cared about my happiness? I've started searching for divorce lawyers online. Every search feels like driving another nail into the coffin of our marriage. But what other choice do I have? I can't keep living like this, feeling like a stranger in my own home. The other day, I caught myself envying a couple at the grocery store. They were bickering over cereal, but at least they were engaging with each other. Liz and I don't even argue anymore. We just exist. Yesterday, I scheduled a meeting with a lawyer for next week. The decision should feel harder than it does, but honestly, I feel relief. Relief that I'm finally reclaiming control of my life. Relief that I won't have to keep begging for scraps of affection from someone who clearly doesn't want to give them. I deserve more than this. I deserve someone who sees me as more than an inconvenience, someone who understands that marriage is about mutual care and effort. Starting over at 35 is daunting, but the thought of spending even one more year like this is unbearable. I can't believe this is actually happening. The divorce papers are sitting on our kitchen counter like a ticking time bomb. Josh actually went through with it. He's really leaving me. My hands have been trembling ever since he placed them there before leaving for work, without a word. This wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to walk away. He was supposed to accept things the way they are. Now, everything is unraveling, and I'm scrambling to hold on to the pieces of our marriage. Last night, I even put on that silk nightgown he bought me last Christmas, the one that's been sitting in my drawer with the tags still attached. I waited for him in bed, my heart racing like a teenager's, hoping to reignite something between us. But when he came home, he just looked at me with this emptiness in his eyes, like he couldn't even see me anymore. I've been doing everything I can think of these past few days, making his favorite meals, brushing his arm as I walk by, even initiating kisses the way I used to. This morning, I tried hugging him before he left for work, something I haven't done in months. He just stood there, stiff and unresponsive until I let go. The rejection stung more than I want to admit, but even as I try, there's this voice in my head screaming that it's unfair. Why should I have to compromise my principles just because he's threatening to leave? My body, my choice. I still believe that, but every time I think those words now, they leave a bitter taste in my mouth. Is standing my ground really worth losing my marriage? The house feels different now, almost haunted by the intimacy I've been withholding. Every room holds a memory of moments I pushed him away, the time he tried to cuddle on the couch and I moved to the armchair, the morning kisses I dodged, the nights I pretended to be asleep when he climbed into bed. I never thought those small rejections would add up to this. I've been calling him all day, leaving voicemails that swing wildly between angry accusations and tearful pleas. We can work this out, I keep saying, though even I can hear the desperation in my voice. How did I become this person? When did our marriage turn into a game of emotional chicken? And why did I think I'd win? Tonight, I'll try again. I bought new lingerie during my lunch break. Red, his favorite color. I'll light some candles, put on makeup, and try to become the woman he married. But the look in his eyes when he handed me those papers, It wasn't anger or sadness, it was resignation, like he had already given up on our marriage long before those papers made it official. When Liz started her sudden transformation act, it was almost painful to watch. It felt like a last ditch performance, desperate to save a show that had already been canceled. I came home one evening to find her dressed in lingerie, candles scattered everywhere, trying to recreate something that had died months ago. And you know what I felt? Nothing. Actually, that's not true. I felt anger that she thought she could manipulate me with last minute physical gestures after months of emotional abandonment. The house reeked of scented candles and desperation. Standing there in the living room, watching her attempt to seduce me with this over the top display, I finally found the words I'd been holding back. It's too late, I told her. You can't undo years of rejection with lingerie and candlelight. Her face was a mix of surprise and defiance, like she still didn't understand. She never did. Every day brings a new attempt to win me back. Yesterday, she cooked my favorite meal, the same one she refused to make for my birthday 6 months ago. The day before, she suddenly wanted to watch football with me, a sport she's mocked throughout our entire marriage. It's like watching a bad actress play the role of a devoted wife, but the performance is years too late. I remember the moment I finally snapped. She was rambling about how we could start fresh, wearing some new silk robe I'd never seen before. I cut her off mid sentence and told her, "Pack your bags, or I'm leaving. Your choice, but one of us is gone by tomorrow." Her face went pale. I don't think she believed I could be so blunt. Well, surprise, Liz. Years of emotional neglect have a way of hardening a person. The next morning, I filed the divorce papers. My lawyer says it's straightforward since we don't have kids. Thank God for small mercies. I've already found a new apartment and started moving my essentials. The freedom is almost overwhelming. No more walking on eggshells. No more begging for scraps of affection. Watching her pack was surreal. Each item she pulled from the closet felt like another brick being removed from the wall she'd built between us. She kept trying to catch my eye, probably hoping for some sign of weakness. But I stayed focused on my phone, answering emails like it was just another day. My friends keep asking if I'm sure, if I want to try one more time. They don't get it. I've been trying for years. Every ignored touch, every dismissed concern, every "my body, my choice" thrown at me like a weapon were her chances. I'm done. At 35, I'm too young to commit to a lifetime of emotional neglect. Today, I had the locks changed. As the locks changed worked, I felt lighter than I have in years. My brother's coming over tonight with beer and pizza. The first time I've invited anyone over in months without feeling self-conscious about the tension in the house. The spaces where Liz's things used to be don't feel empty. They feel like opportunities, a fresh start. No more begging for basic affection or apologizing for needing them. For the first time in years, I'm sleeping in the middle of the bed and it feels incredible. I never imagined I'd be back in my childhood bedroom at 33, surrounded by dusty participation trophies and NSYNC posters. The twin bed creaks every time I move, a constant reminder that this isn't a nightmare I can wake up from. It's my reality, divorced, alone, wondering where it all went wrong. The worst part? The man I'd been seeing on the side, the one I thought was my escape plan, turned out to be exactly what Josh said he was, a player. When I reached out to him after Josh kicked me out, his response felt like a slap. "It was just fun," he said. "I'm not looking for anything serious. That's all I was to him. Fun. Turned out to be exactly what Josh said he was, a player. When I reached out to him after Josh kicked me out, his response felt like a slap. I was supposed to forget about him. Bang on. My parents are trying to be supportive, but I see the disappointment in their eyes. Mom keeps dropping hints about how marriage takes work and the importance of compromise. Dad barely speaks to me anymore. Yesterday, I overheard him on the phone with Josh, apologizing for how things ended. My own father siding with my soon to be ex husband. Dating again is a joke. I made a profile on one of those apps, but every conversation dies when they learn I'm fresh out of a marriage. One guy even ghosted me mid-date when I mentioned my stance on physical intimacy. Good luck with that, he said, leaving me alone at a coffee shop. The irony isn't lost on me. My body, my choice has turned into my body, my lonely existence. The rumors have spread through our social circle. Most of our mutual friends have taken Josh's side. He's already been set up on dates, while I'm excluded from dinner parties and game nights. Even Sarah, the friend I used to vent to about our husbands, won't return my calls. I heard through the grapevine that my situation made her re-examine her own marriage. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. Each meeting with the lawyers feels like another nail in the coffin of my former life. Josh sits there, composed and confident, while I struggle not to cry. He's even lost weight and started dressing better, while I've been stress eating through my parents' pantry, trying to fill the void with chocolate and self-pity. Last week, I drove past our old house, Josh's house now. Lights were on, and laughter spilled out onto the porch. He was hosting a get-together, something we hadn't done in years, because I always said no. Sitting in my car, watching the shadows of happy people moving inside, reality hit me. I did this. My refusal to compromise, my stubbornness, my affair. I tore my marriage apart piece by piece. Now I'm standing in the rubble, wondering why it all fell apart. Tonight, as I lie in my childhood bed, listening to my parents' muffled TV through the walls, one question keeps playing in my mind. Was being right worth being alone? Was my body, my choice, worth losing everything else? The silence offers no answers, only the echo of my own pride haunting me.